So we don't fix it. And every day on this trip will get better. You go to a new place and it's going to be better than the place you went before. You're going to stay in all the different types of accommodation that are available on the safari circuit, from a 5-star hotel in Nairobi, the Nairobi Serena Hotel. You're going to stay in a tree hotel, which I'm going to tell you about, which is very unique and interesting. You're going to stay at the world-famous Mount Kenya Safari Club that was founded by the actor William Holden. You're going to stay in a safari lodge. And finally, you are going to sleep in a tent. And it will probably be your very favorite place to stay. I know it will be. So let me go through this. I want to just tell you what a safari is really about. So I'm sure that there's some misconceptions that you might have about what a safari is about. Again, it's not a hard trip. It doesn't require any walking. So walking is not a problem. We start in Nairobi, the capital of Kenya, in East Africa. We also do Southern African trips and safaris. But the East Africa experience is truly the one to do. It's the quintessential safari experience. So the flying, everybody wants to know about the getting there. Of course, it's not like just down the road, but I will tell you, it's not as bad as most people think. The hardest part about the flying here is the getting to Europe part. And all of you have been to Europe, you know what that feels like. It's not fun. You have the overnight flight to Europe, and you're jet lagged. You have a connection there, and then you go on down to Nairobi. It's another 7.5 hours down, but there's only like a 1-hour time zone difference. So your body does not go through the jet lag kind of things going onward to Nairobi. It's a day flight. People walk around the plane, they watch movies, and I promise when I meet people in Nairobi, they're much better off than what I expect them to be. So that Europe flight is the worst part, but going on down is not so bad. So we're going to put you in touch with your safari team, and you're going to have an excellent group of guys that are going to take you all around this circuit. The guy on your right-hand side, we call him Botsy for short. He is our safari director, and I've worked with him since day one, since the very first day I went on this trip. And then our safari guides are the best in the business. They are amazing. There's only 6 people per safari vehicle. They hold more people than that, but we limit it to 6. So you have a little more wiggle room, and you will have a driver guide assigned to you for the first 2/3 of this safari program until we fly down to the world-famous Masai Mara of southern Kenya. So these guys are going to share everything with you and tell you everything that you need to know. We're going to stay first at the world-famous leading hotel of the world, the Nairobi Serena Hotel. And as you can tell, it's not roughing it too awfully much. I mean, it's pretty nice. The pool area has an outdoor restaurant. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. It's the place to be in Nairobi. It's very comfortable. The rooms are lovely and nice, and you're going to have 2 nights here. And we spend 2 nights here so you can rest up from that flying because, it takes a little of you out of there. There's safari companies that will put you in a safari vehicle and whisk you off right when you land. And you've paid a lot of money to do this, and so we're going to rest up a little bit, and while we're in Nairobi, we're going to take you out to do a little sightseeing. And we're going to put you up close and personal to the Rothschild giraffe. These are one of 3 species of giraffes you'll see on safari with us, and the rarest of the 3. And this is an educational place where they have a breeding program for these very, very rare giraffes, and you're going to get to feed them, kiss them, do whatever you want. You get really up close and personal to these guys, and it's really a wonderful experience at Giraffe Manor. Then we're going to go over to the Karen Blixen Museum. Karen Blixen, of course, is the person who wrote Out of Africa. So if you're thinking about taking this trip, you definitely got to watch the movie again, read the book. It will give you all kinds of insight into the British colonial days of Kenya. Kenya was a British protectorate or colony up until the 1960s when they got their independence. So everybody drives on the other side of the road. There's afternoon tea every afternoon. So a lot of customs from Britain are in Kenya. And Karen Blixen was actually Danish. So she moved to Kenya, and she tried to go grow coffee out here in the Nairobi area and finally went bankrupt because it wasn't great soil to be growing coffee. But the history here is unbelievable. And some people know that I have done voiceover work in movies and TV, so long ago, I took a group of people over there, and we were there at the door, and they said, you know, Brian, we're very, very disappointed. And I said, why? What's the matter? And they said, well, we just knew with your Hollywood connections, you would have Robert Redford standing here waiting for us when we got here. So I cannot promise Robert Redford, but his pants are hanging in there. So ladies, there you go. So they did shoot some exterior shots here for the movie. Of course, the interior stuff was done in Los Angeles. They didn't need to do it here. But it's a very eye-opening visit here at the Karen Blixen Museum. Then we're going to take you to the Kazuri Bead Factory. These are all places that we have found throughout our times going here, and this is a very special place. This company was started as a workers program for single mothers in Nairobi. So Lady Susan Wood, an ex-British patriot that moved to Kenya, started this in the 1970s to help local Kenyan mothers, single mothers, to earn money, feed their children, and so forth. So they make every bead by hand. They shape them. They paint them all by hand. They string them all by hand. And when you go in the gift shop, you see all of these beads. These beads have now been in the Neiman Marcus catalog and all over the place. And they make wonderful gifts to bring home. They're beautiful. They're very inexpensive. And they do a really great service as well. So I'm sure you'll enjoy the Kazuri bead experience. It started with like 3 ladies doing this, and now they have many, but one of the original ladies, Margaret, is still there, so you can meet Margaret when you go. Then we'll go back to the hotel and give you the afternoon free. All the meals on this itinerary are included, because when you're out there going around, you can't go to McDonald's. There's nowhere to go. So all the meals are included, with the exception of a few meals in Nairobi. Like when we come back in for lunch on this sightseeing day, we let you go out by the pool, have a burger, cheeseburger, or whatever you want, and rest up in the afternoon. And that night, we're going to take you out to a restaurant called the Carnivore. And this is a place where you're going to get to taste all kinds of grilled meat. Kenyans love barbecue, just like we do. Grilled meat on charcoal. And so they grill all these meats on these spits, and they come by like at a Brazilian steakhouse and carve all these different tastes off for you to try. And an evening at the Carnivore is really, really a lot of fun. Then we're going to leave after 2 nights in Nairobi, and we're going to travel through the Central Highlands, and you're going to leave the bustle of Nairobi behind, and you're going to go through the town of Thika, that is famous for the book by Elspeth Huxley, The Flame Trees of Thika. And we're going to go to the Aberdare Country Club, where you're going to have lunch at the Aberdare Country Club in a beautiful setting. And then we're going to put you on a school bus that's going to leave at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're going to take you deep into the Aberdare National Forest, a very jungly kind of looking place, and you're going to stay at your tree hotel. Now, we call it a tree hotel. This one is called the Ark. There are 3 tree hotels in the Aberdare National Forest and on the slopes of Mount Kenya, and this is by far our favorite. The Ark is made of wood. It's shaped kind of like Noah's Ark, and it's got all kinds of viewing platforms. You can see people outside there, and you can even see a concrete bunker there that you can see eyeball to eyeball with elephants. And I'm telling you, when you see your first herd of elephants come out of the forest with little babies in tow, it's unbelievable. It's just an amazing experience. I've had people that are standing out there and see these elephants come out and get a tear in their eye. Everything that you ever saw on Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, you're going to be living it on this trip. And yet you're going to be on a 5-star level safari program. So the Ark is the perfect place to start a safari. You're going to walk on the catwalk. They're going to shut the door behind you, and you're going to be the animal in the cage, and the watering hole is out there, and these animals are going to come and go all through the afternoon and the evening to the Ark. So it's absolutely an amazing start to a safari. So you see the places that you can kind of view from there. There will be afternoon tea served in the afternoon, and then there will be dinner in the evening served at the Ark. And then you can go to bed, go to sleep if you want to. Some of you know my wife, Camilla. She was in Yellowstone or whatever. Camilla will never go to sleep at the Ark because she's afraid that she will miss something. And while I'm talking about that, I'll talk about temperature. It is not swelteringly hot on this safari program. The average temperature on safari is the mid-70s. Now when we go up to Samburu in the north, yes, it gets hotter up there. And plus we've been on these slopes of Mount Kenya and in cool areas. But here at the Ark, there will be a big fire roaring in the fireplace in the main building at the Ark in the evening. So it gets chilly at night. So it's not like you've got your pith helmet and crossing the desert sands on a safari program. So that you know that. So she'll sit up all night because she doesn't want to miss anything. However, if you want to go to bed, you can go to bed, and there's a buzzer system. So every number of buzzes represents a different animal. And I don't remember which is which, but say maybe one is elephants. Well, if you have already seen elephants before you go to bed, they won't buzz for elephants. But then there's some animals that you really would want to be awakened for, like a leopard. If a leopard were to come to the watering hole, everybody would want to see that leopard. Maybe it's 3 buzzes. So you hear 3 buzzes at 2 o'clock in the morning, and everybody runs out there in their underwear to see this leopard. I've seen it happen. It is not a pretty picture. But it does happen. Sometimes there are rhino here. You just never know. There's all kinds of forest antelopes, all kinds of wildlife here at the Ark. So a very, very interesting experience. And you will also start to decompress from your real life, and you'll just start listening to sounds. And it's unbelievable, the sounds of the night here at the Ark, and it's a mesmerizing feeling. We're going to then go to a local girls' school in Nanyuki. All of our customers and myself, we have helped a building program here. This is a public school, so they get funds from the Kenyan government. But we've been taking people here for quite some time, and this is going to be one of the highlights of the whole trip for you. This is by no means the Oprah School of Girls in South Africa. This is a much smaller thing, and it's just a public school. But these girls are going to sing for you. They're going to tell you some stories. They're going to take you in their classroom. You can ask them anything you want, like which is their favorite subject, which don't they like. And they will have a great day with you, and you will have an even better day with them. They come from all over Kenya. There's 41 different tribes of people that live in Kenya. The Maasai people, the Samburu people, the Kikuyu people, they all have their own language. And when these girls come to this school, they have to learn Swahili and English, mandatory, plus their native language, on top of, math and science and all of those things. So it's a wonderful experience here at the girls' school in Nanyuki, and I think you will really enjoy it. Then on to world-famous Mount Kenya Safari Club. William Holden, the famous actor from Sunset Boulevard and so many movies and so forth, he came and he founded this lodge as a hunting lodge on the slopes of Mount Kenya in the Central Highlands, again, of Kenya. And he brought all his Hollywood cronies, everybody who's been anybody they have stayed at Mount Kenya Safari Club. It is now a Fairmont Hotel. It's run by Fairmont Hotels. And several years back, it went through a multi-million-dollar renovation, and you're sleeping right on the line of the equator. So when you go into Nairobi, you're actually flying into the southern hemisphere. So now we're crossing back over into our side, and it's right on the line of the equator. If you happen to be a golfer, you can play golf on the equator, right on the line of the equator. Mount Kenya, the second tallest mountain on the continent of Africa. Now, there's another little lesson here. The continent of Africa is huge. You can fit 2.5 United States on the continent of Africa. So when you're talking about Kenya, it's like from Kenya to West Africa is like going from Los Angeles to New York. So it is a big continent, and you are going to a smaller portion of it. But Mount Kenya is the second tallest mountain. The tallest mountain is in Tanzania to the south. That's Kilimanjaro. And a little story behind that, because during colonial days, Queen Victoria was the monarch that was in charge of Kenya because it was owned by Britain. Tanzania was owned by Germany. So the Chancellor of Germany was her cousin, because you know that royalty stuff in Europe, they were always kind of intertwined and stuff. And it just happened that it was the Chancellor of Germany's birthday, and Queen Victoria didn't know what to get him for a birthday present. So she chopped off Kilimanjaro mountain on the bottom part of Kenya and gave it to him for a birthday present. So if you look at the southern border of Kenya, it's now a little crooked because she gave him part of her country, basically, and a big mountain to boot. So Here at Mount Kenya in the afternoon, we'll have lunch upon arrival, and you can do whatever you want in the afternoon. You can play golf, you can have a massage, you can go shopping. Most people want to go to the animal orphanage. This was founded way back when with William Holden and his partner Don Hunt, because they started hunting and then they became very much conservationists, and they started this orphanage to bring local school kids in to learn about these animals of their native country. And this is a crested or a crowned crane, and you're going to see all kinds of bird life once you get out in the game reserves and so forth. You can put a monkey on your back if you don't already have one. So at the orphanage you get really close up to these animals. This is a bongo. It's a very rare forest antelope that they have a breeding program for. And then, so you'll have your night at Mount Kenya Safari Club, and then we're going to descend on the slopes of Mount Kenya to the north, and we're going to travel up further in north to semi-arid bush country. And the terrain's going to get changed, and it's going to get warmer, especially because it's been really cool in the evenings up at Mount Kenya. So when you come down here, you're going to go into a place that has a lot of different animals, and it has a lot of different feeling, and it is warmer up here, and that is the Sarova Shava Game Lodge in Buffalo Springs in the northern part of Kenya. Up here, this is a place that's quite famous too, although you might not know it. There was a person that studied lions way back when, and she had one lioness that she named Elsa, and she wrote a book, Born Free. Joy Adamson did her program and her research up here in Shaba, where you're going to be staying for 2 nights. This is where you're going to start on your game drives, 2 a day, with your driver guides, and the vehicles tops pop up, and again, a maximum of 6 people per vehicle. My whole family, I mean, my grandson is 19 now, has been with me on this trip at least 3 times. And so it's a wonderful experience for all concerned. But you're going to start going out to see all of these animals. And up here in this part of the country, you're going to see animals that you won't see anywhere else in Kenya, and in some cases on Earth. This zebra is not a regular zebra. This is a Grevy's zebra. There's only about 1,000 of these guys left on Earth, and you'll only see them up here in Buffalo Springs and Samburu in the north. They're a different species. Their stripes go all the way down to their hooves, and they're thicker stripes than the common zebra, where you'll see in other places. The oryx, you won't see these anywhere else in Kenya, the Besa oryx, and the reticulated giraffe, different from the one you saw in Nairobi. And these giraffes are only found in the northern hemisphere. So if you go to southern Africa, you'll never see these animals. So it's quite interesting. So you start to learn all these things, and you start to wonder, how close do you get to the animals? Well, all of these slides actually were made by Benny, who works with me. She's taken groups, she's been on safari many times, and she's taken these slides. So you do get very close to animals. This is a dik-dik. This is the second smallest antelope on Earth. I don't really know quite why the scientists say it's the second. The first, the smallest, is the Sunni, and you may see a Sunni at the Ark because they live in the forest, and they virtually look like the same. That you can't tell that one's smaller than the other. But these dik-diks, they mate for life. So every time I would go on a safari, I would hear a different story. And so the driver guides would tell all of these tales about animals and about culture and all these things. And one day, I'd always heard, they'd always said, you know, dik-diks, they mate for life, these animals. So once one partner is killed off or something, if you see one by itself, they will never get with another partner or anything. And so that was fine. I'd heard that over and over and over and over and over. And then about 30 minutes after that driver guide had said this, I just thought about asking, what is the lifespan of a dik-dik? And the driver said 3 years. And I said, well, anybody can do that. That's not such a big deal. So you do get close, just like you see here. You really get close to animals, and the driver guides really know kind of how the elephants move, where they're going to water to drink. And you will find that every time you go out, you see something different. If you came just to see an elephant, you can go to the zoo. But when you come out here, you will see elephants one morning, and then in the afternoon, you'll see them swimming across the water trying to keep a little baby from going down the river. Or you'll see giraffes drinking water. You may say, well, what's the big deal? Well, giraffes drinking water is a big deal. They have to spread their legs and get down there and get that water. So all kinds of interactions of animals, and of course the cats. Everybody wants to see the cats. Lions, leopards, cheetahs. I can guarantee you lions on this trip. This is a gerenuk. These animals are only found up here in the north, and they are browsers. So they're not grazing, and they're not eating like the giraffes from the tops of the trees. They're taking care of the middle. So it's God's work all over the place every time you turn around. So these animals are unique to here, and they stand up on their back 2 feet just like that. So again, that's one of Benny's slides, giraffe peeking around the bush. And a leopard. So we can usually spot leopard, but they're very, very elusive cats. But usually we try to get all 3 when we can. But lions are always seen, and leopards most of the time, and cheetahs most of the time in different places. You'll also visit a Samburu village. These are cousins of the Maasai people in southern Kenya. So these people are in the north. They have the same traditions. They wear the red shukas, and they have the same neck pieces and so forth and so on. You'll go to the village. You can take all the pictures you want. You pay a little something to them to let us go in there, and then they're going to take you in their huts. And they're so excited to talk to you about the way they live. And trust me, it is not the way you and I live, of course. But it's amazing to be able to see these peoples that are still living like this. I mean, the world is changing. Their world is changing. They're not as nomadic as they used to be. And so these things will not be around forever. And so to have the opportunity to actually share in this is pretty amazing. And I will tell you this, and I will come back to Waynesboro, and I'll ask you this question, and I know what the answer will be. You will go because you want to go see all of these animals and do these things and stay in these amazing places. And when you come back, the people you have met on this trip will have taken a piece of your heart and left it there. Because everybody is warm, welcoming, they all speak English, they want to know you're having a great time, and how do you like their country, and you to come back and tell everybody in Mississippi what a great time you had. And that's the feeling you get while you're over there. In fact, the prized possession of the Maasai and the Samburu people are their cattle. So cattle is used as a currency. So the more cows you have, the richer you are. And so there was a true story about 6 months after 9/11 took place. These Maasai people, even though, like I said, things are changing now, you'll see Maasai standing on the savannas of the Maasai Mara on their cell phone. I get better cell phone coverage there than I can get in Waynesboro. But that wasn't the case, even 6-7 years ago. But things are changing. So back during 9/11, nobody had cell phones, and the Maasai elders and the men of the village, they walk miles and miles between villages, and they just tell about what's happening in the next village down the way. And then the ladies do everything else. Of course, ladies, that's the way it is, everybody, right? So the ladies do everything. They cook, they build the houses, they fetch the water, they do everything, and the men walk around, talk about things, and protect the village. But these Maasai men were walking all around the Maasai Mara, and they said, one of them said, I just heard that there were these big, big buildings in New York City, and they were bombed, and thousands of people were killed, and all of this. And this word started to spread, and the elders got together, and they collected 12 of what they considered their finest cows. And they walked these cows into Nairobi, hundreds of miles away, knocked on the door of the United States Embassy, and said, we heard what happened to the people of America, and we want to donate these 12 cows to the people of the United States. That's what you feel when you're over there. It gives me chill bumps every time I think about it. And it's very true. You will feel all of those things when you get up close and personal with these people. Amazing people. We call this a wing safari because we're going to fly over the Great Rift Valley and avoid some rough roads and save some time and get you down into the world-famous Maasai Mara of southern Kenya, the place that Matt Lauer of the Today Show said was the 8th wonder of the world. And it truly is. It's unbelievable. You're going to stay at the Fairmont Mara Safari Club on the banks of the Mara River. This is that river where those hundreds of thousands of wildebeest and zebras jump over every year during the migration time. And here you're going to have a tent. And every tent is going to have a wooden deck facing the river. And I'm happy to say that last year Fairmont got new bed rolls for the floor. They are really nice. I want to show them to you. Aren't they special? This will be your favorite place to stay. You're not sleeping on the floor. You've got hot and cold running water, full bathroom facilities, shower, toilet, you name it. This is glamping like you have never seen it before. It's unbelievable. And a day on safari in the Masai Mara, the night before, your waiter in the dining room will say, what would you like for us to come by and give you a wake-up call in the morning? Coffee, tea, hot chocolate. You tell them what time, because you're going to go on a game drive in the morning. So they bring it to you, they come outside your tent, they say Jambo, which means hello, good morning, and you get your coffee through there, you have your coffee, you throw things together, you go out, you go on a game drive, and you watch this big yellow ball of a sun come up over the Masai Mara of southern Kenya, and you see all the things that have happened through the night, which is unbelievable sometimes. You come back, and you have a full cook-to-order breakfast. Pancakes, omelets, eggs, bacon, sausage, cereals, yogurts, fresh tropical fruits and fruit juices, you name it, it's all there for you. All 3 meals a day are really great. You can eat everything you see. There's nothing wrong, nothing bad about anything you eat. We don't drink the water. We give you bottled water. The hotels give you water. You can buy extra water. But the food is plentiful, and it's lots of it. And after breakfast, you go to the hippo place, because you can go to sections of the river where these hippos are in the water, and they stay in the water all during the day because their skin is very delicate and the sun is not good on their skin. And they come out at night, and hippos graze like cattle. And they do it all night long. They eat grass. So once the sun goes down, those hippos come out of the river, but you never see it happen because, it's dark. And they come out on hippo trails, and they walk for miles and miles and miles, eat. And by sunrise the next morning, they're back in that water, and they stay there all day. So you take pictures of the hippos, listen to them grunting and snorting. You go to the gift shop, and by that time it's time for lunch. You go sit outside by the pool. Yes, there's a swimming pool at your tented camp in the Masai Mara. And you sit, you have an alfresco outdoor luncheon, delicious, and now it's time for a nap. You go back to this tent, and you lie down, and you listen to those hippos grunting, you hear the birds singing, and then you start hearing the cowbells of the Maasai boys as they are coming to bring their cows down to the water to drink, and you know you have come to a very, very special place. Long Row Hotels, which used to own this tented camp, used to have a saying, until you've slept under African skies and heard the lions roar, your imagination will never be enough. And I talk about this trip, I've talked about it for 20 years, and it's so true. Until you go and actually feel it, it's hard to explain. You do have the option to take a balloon safari. This is written up in the book, 1,000 Places to See Before You Die. Ballooning over the Masai Mara is one of those things. We do it as an option because it's quite pricey. It's like $500-something, but it's quite the experience. You get up, you go out, you watch them blow up the balloon, and you fly over this vast savanna. Whatever wildlife is below you, it's quiet, it's serene, it's very different than being in a vehicle with an engine noise. And you float over this natural beauty, and you watch the Maasai people going about their daily morning things. And then your balloon pilot will land this balloon, and you will have a champagne cooked-to-order breakfast in the bush of the Masai Mara. So, you're out there with everything. So, it's an amazing experience. So, again, lots of wildlife to see, and every day, every morning and every afternoon is different. After your nap, you go out on an afternoon game drive, and then you come back and again sit by the fireplace in the lodge of the tented camp, because again it gets chilly in the evenings. So, what shots are required to go on this trip? Nothing. There are no shots that are required, with the exception of the Tanzania extension. And on that, you do have to have a yellow fever inoculation. There is no yellow fever in northern Tanzania, but they don't want any either. So you do have to have that. Other than that, I will tell you personally what I do and what I've always done. The first time I went, I took a whole battery of shots. And then I got over there and I experienced this trip. And never again did I take anything else. I don't think you need anything. There is malaria. Malaria exists in these countries, but you are not on a mission trip. You are not sleeping in a village. You're in a 5-star place. You probably will not see a mosquito the whole time. I don't take malaria medication, and I don't give it to my family, my grandkids, or my grandson or anything. But it is available if you want it. Other than that, you can look up things at the CDC. You can go to a travel doctor, and they're all going to tell you different things. And the CDC is going to tell you a whole list of stuff to take. But I'll tell you, you really don't need to take anything. And nothing is required except that yellow fever shot. The Tanzania extension, we're going to fly out of the Masai Mara. And what that allows us to do, again, the design of this, people who drive into the Masai Mara, first of all, they don't have 4-wheel drive vehicles down there. And we do, because we use the vehicles of the Mara Safari Club. And when you drive out, they have to leave early in the morning, and they get to Nairobi like afternoon. We are able to go on another game drive, come back and have breakfast, and we take a 35-minute flight to Nairobi. So it makes it all work very beautifully. If you do the Kenya portion by itself, you will go back to the Nairobi Serena, and it will feel like you are going home, because you'll see all the people that you know, the people in the room service and in the restaurant and the doorman at the hotel, and they'll say, "Oh, you're back from safari. Did you have a good time?" And it's just a wonderful thing. So you go back, and you will have day rooms that are paid for, so you can relax and then repack, and then you'll have flights out that evening. If you want, we have a Tanzania extension. Most people do this thing one time. So we offer this extension if you have the time, and I suggest you try to consider doing both. But if you want to just do the Kenya, you can do that. We're going to fly, then once we get back to Nairobi, you're going to fly on to Kilimanjaro Airport in northern Tanzania and connect on to another flight to Lake Manyara, where you will meet your Tanzanian crew. Batsanduka will be with you the whole way. Your safari director is with you during this entire process, so you're never by yourself. But we have a different team. We hire Tanzanian people in Tanzania. You stay at the beautiful Lake Manyara Serena, a sister property to the one in Nairobi, which is a beautiful place to stay, and then start out on a very different group of game drives. It's not that you're going to be seeing different animals necessarily, but the settings are going to be completely different, and it's just a little bit more out there. And I promise you, you're going to want it by the time you've done this Kenya section. We're going to move to Ngorongoro Serena. This is on the rim of Ngorongoro Crater. Beautiful. I mean, this location is just unbelievable. This is the remains of a collapsed volcano, and every animal that's born within this crater dies in the crater. And it has all of the ecosystems that you would see in vast areas of space. So there's forest, there's savanna, there's woodlands, there's all kinds of places for all these animals to exist inside Ngorongoro Crater. And then when we leave, we go out on the other side, and you'll visit Old Dubai Gorge, and this is where Leakey found the skull of Lucy, you might remember, in the 1950s in Old Dubai Gorge, and make our way into the world-famous Serengeti of northern Tanzania. The Masai Mara and Serengeti ecosystems combined has the largest population of wild animals left on our planet. So if you're wondering if you came to the right place, you have. And we have another luxury tinted camp run by Serena Hotels, Mbuzi Mawe Tinted Camp, for a 2-night stay. And here you go out on different game drives and seeing different things. Just an amazing experience here in the world-famous Serengeti of northern Tanzania. So after this, you will fly back to Kilimanjaro Airport, back to Nairobi. And you will have an overnight stay in Nairobi at the Nairobi Serena so that you can rest from your entire safari program, and then you will have day rooms the next day before our team takes you to the airport. And usually on that last day, everybody is asking where can they go and buy some Tanzanite jewelry, especially my ladies. So Batsi will take you to a place if you want to do a little last-minute shopping here in Nairobi. So all in all, it's an amazing experience. Like I said, it is comfortable, it's easy, it's not difficult, it's safe. It's as safe as any other place in the world today. So I urge you, if you ever dreamed of doing this, to consider this, because I guarantee you it will be the trip of your lifetime. So we have great times here with our friends in Kenya. And moving on back to a domestic trip, we